Good evening. This is your Sensei Al Bob, and it's one day past David Bowie's birthday. That was quite fun. I love dancing. I love having a birthday party. I love birthday cake. I hope you all enjoyed that. And tonight, we're talking about the essence of nature. And I'm waiting for you guys to show up. There's one of you. Good evening, number one. This evening, we're talking about the essence of nature. And it's a form of continuation of what I spoke this morning. You know, who are you? Where'd you come from? Why are you here? And what are you supposed to be doing? And what are you doing right now? You know? So, my existence, if you were to go to xratted.blogspot.com, you would see my life story. I mean, that's what that novel is, you know. And I have 26 novels. This is just one and only three quarters of it. I didn't give a last quarter because I didn't want to, you know, over, you know, flood you with my writing, you know. Hey, buddy, bud. You know, I was taking a good look at your little logo there. So, what gender are you, buddy? It's like I keep saying, I have no idea what gender or even species any of you guys are. A few, you know, I take for granted Jane is you're a big boy. Good man. I like big boys. You know, when I was in Brazil building this nightclub for Java the Hutt, who worked for the Nazis, the boys in Brazil, basically the chief of police was, you know, not chained to me, but he was always around to make sure I didn't hightail it out of there or etc. And he used to always pat me on the back and go, "Want a gun? Big man need gun. Big man need gun." And you know, I wasn't as big as I got to be, but I wasn't as big as he was. But I think he was talking about big as in important. And I said, "Why do I need a gun? You got a gun. You're always with me. So why do I need a gun?" And he would go, and once the club got going, he would come in and throw like an ounce of cocaine on the bar and go, "Drugs." I mean, he would take it out of his, throw it on the bar and go, "Drugs." And then he would walk over to the cash register, ding, open it up and take all the cash out. And I, you know, at the end of the night, you know, my manager, Sam, you know, because the place is called Rick's, would, you know, clean out and leave a few, you know, spare change in there. And the guys in the band liked that stuff. I can't even look at that stuff. I just really, whew. That's one thing I can't, not even. I mean, a little bit of Chiba, but nothing of that sort or anything else. I really, my little system is a bit too sensitive to any of that. But tonight we're talking about the essence of nature and you know and also words, logos. You know, what do things mean? And we are in a position. We are at a place. There's a guy named Jordan Maxwell. You should go. You know, look on YouTube. There's a ton of YouTubes on him, and he's kind of like, you know, my brother from another mother. And because we kind of have that same kind of scholarly head, but he is it. He's meaning I'm a griot and I am a scholar, but he's definitely got it down, right? And because my attitude is, why should I teach, talk like he does when he does a really good job at it? So go to Gordon Maxwell, and he really has things like the social, political, economic picture of what the New World Order is. And he also goes on about how the New World Order has pretty much been the same old order, all the way back. It's all through, I mean, we are right where we were in recorded history. And back in the day of Mesopotamia, Egypt, they had more technology than we have now. And the only reason why things are like chinked into stone is that all of the thumb drives and microfiche and you know kind of went bye bye. It really, but nothing lasts as old or as well as stone, right? Well, I've lived in all over the place, and I find that that wherever you are, there you go. I mean, I could have lived in Ireland very happily. I could have lived in New Zealand very happy. Australia, not so much, because gigantic place. And, in the 3 years I was there, they had, you know, um, martial law twice. It's like, it's pretty much never stopped. Just like in America, we have not stopped being in a depression since 1929, right? Really, since 1917 when Woodrow Wilson signed in the Federal Reserve. I I don't know if you listened to my morning ramble from my breakfast spot, and there were these two guys who were teachers, and I was kind of listening to their conversation. I didn't want to interrupt them, but when they got up and they were facing me, I said, "So you guys teachers?" And they kind of hemmed and hawed, and one taught economics, and the other one taught like history. And I kind of just asked them a few questions, like, "So what's the Federal Reserve?" And da 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 da. I said, "No, did you know that the Federal Reserve is a privately owned corporate stock held, you know, concern? Has nothing to do with the government. Period. Has nothing." And I just mentioned a few things, and he kind of said, "Ooh," when I said, he goes, "What, stockholders?" I said, "Yeah, all those banks are stockholders." Ooh. And I said, and explained, how fractionalization goes. He's an economist, and he's kind of going, hmm. And I just mentioned a few things. If we go there, it's like, and then this one, the historian guy said, well, I said, we've never had, a president who wasn't a sock pup. And the guy goes, well, we do now. We have Trump. And I said, well, I have to, I love Donald Trump. And he goes, you do? I said, yeah, yeah, because he's the X-lax of the body politic. And he was like, he was thinking about that when I said, yeah, he's going to empty the colon of the deep state. And he started to laugh. Oh, like patting me on the back like you're one of us. And the economic guy was still kind of going, hmm. And the other guy, the historian guy who loves Donald Trump, he left thinking about it, right? And that's what we, the cadre, have to do, not attack these guys. Yes, all humans are privately owned. And I told those guys that, and they were like, "Ugh, not Trump, the chump." Yes, they call him Donnie Chump. That was, your Sensei Al Bob can turn a phrase. Rumperoid hump, yes. So, get back to the essence of nature and the essence of logo, the word. In the beginning, all things were dark, and then the word was heard, logos. Let there be light, right? And so basically, the essence of nature, and that's why Russian, the language of Russian, is so old that it goes to before its foundation plots. The Christian Orthodox Church in Russia. You go to their worldview, and it's very interesting. And if you read the book Anastasia, you get a real sense of Russian as a language, because the guy who translated did an excellent job. Did his best, because Russian as a language, English as a language, is like oil and water. So, and the Russian language comes from the heart. English language is a language about commerce. It comes from the Rolodex. So the word, so they don't use the word God, they use the word Father. And what is, when you translate that word, it's called the circle of life. You've got spring, birth, summer, life, and growth and, expansion. And then you have fall, and you get older and older, and you start to decay. And then winter, you have total decay and death. And then you're reborn again. And that is the circle of life. And when your worldview is that, the circle of life, rather than the idea. You know what the word farm means? It means to take. The word garden means to give, right? So we need to have an alternative aesthetic. And whenever we use words, we have to really deconstruct them, forensically, and look where they came from and all what they mean. Because when we use words and we think it means this, the word Lord means Satan. The word God means demon, because you see what they are translated in Egyptian and Mesopotamian and Sumerian, then you take it into Latin, and that's where you get those terms where, like I said, you look at Jesus, he never used the word God, he always used the word Father. The other interesting thing is, why is the Bible made up of these chumps who weren't even around when Jesus was, And then for 900 years, the Holy Roman Empire says, okay, nobody can read or do math. And that's why, geometry, Euclidean geometry, that's math. Everything else is an illusion. Algebra, trigonometry, they all are coming from commerce. Euclidean geometry comes from our intuition. And that's the only way I learned physics was through Euclid, because I could see it. Nice. That a boy. And, buddy, so you're in summertime right now. I wish I could teleport myself there. History is alive. That's why they call it his story. Not her story, not our story, not their story. His story. Thucydides, who was the godfather of the written history, someone said, so Thucydides, what's history? And he goes, whatever the Romans pay me to write. Yep. Oh, well, I am kind of teleporting to your side, buddy, over this little screen here. And so I'm really pleased with the response of the cadre. I'm really pleased with the response of the individual that is looking at themselves and asking, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Because I sense that's coming from you. And the other interesting thing I've been watching is that all of you have your worldview. You come to here with a worldview, you kind of throw it out, And as we talk, because no one, there are no moderators. I haven't given anyone a wrench because I have no idea how that works or what that is or any of that stuff. I can't even. Have any of you been able to go look at my what do they call it? The line, the things that I'm watching on, that I like, and then it goes on a list. Have you guys been able to see that, or do I have to make it public? I mean, I really have no idea what I'm doing, really, right? And if anyone lived, within, able to drive and come and get me, I really need to get out of here. It's going down to below 20 this next week, and that may mean the rest of winter could be there, right? And to be stuck up here, not good. And I got no place else to go. I really don't. The only place I can go that I know that I won't be thrown out, or be on the edge, the razor's edge, is the deep green, and that's really only good from end of April until end of October. I could have after that, and I could have stayed there and dealt with freezing water lines and stuff. But in that period, it's very comfortable. I can be there, and it's all good. But right now, not so much, and that's why I really want to get the cadre together. I want to get people, because once you guys really experience what it's like to not have to work at Kmart or Walmart's or the supermarket or the office or any of the above, that you could actually make more money having fun than working for the man. There's 10 actually watching. Oh, yeah, well, okay, you're the 10th. Exactly. Anyone who can come and visit, that would be great, right? And anyone who doesn't have a family or anyone to support or anyone other than themselves, that they could just say, okay, I'm jumping in my car, and I got this lousy job. Who needs this lousy job? You can have that great experience. I am quitting this lousy job, and because all the things that I used to be able to do, I could do anywhere in the world. I could be an electrician anywhere. I could be a chef anywhere in the world. I could be a professor anywhere in the world. I could, be a photographer, a filmmaker, theater arts guy, an actor. I could do. I've done all those things all over the world. It was not very tough. I even was in countries where I couldn't even speak the language, like Brazil. If you do not fala Portuguese, that's it. No one speaks English. No one speaks anything. I mean, the tourists do, but the Portuguese, the Brazilian folk, not so much. So I was like living amongst everybody. Pretty much, that's all they spoke. So within 1 week, I could communicate. 2, 3 weeks, I could really communicate. Before the month was out, I wasn't talking like a Brazilian, but it worked. Well, Mike, Ink. Are you in the United States or no? If you're not, I used to have WhatsApp, and then it disappeared. I have no idea. And like, you know, people, the powers that shouldn't be, are sticking all kinds of apps and commercials and interrupting the program in the middle of it. And, but, that's okay to a certain point. We're at a place, we're at the beginning point, right? Chrome. But yes, anybody who lives near me who knows how to set this all up so it actually works pretty good, that would be thumbs up. Anyone who can get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42, and Miss Fish tried to, but I tried to do what she said to do, and it didn't do anything. So playlist, that's the word. Can you guys read my playlist? When you go to my channel, you go to a playlist. Is that open to you guys? Anyway, But all of this is irrelevant. Here we are talking about irrelevancy because it doesn't friggin' matter. All this stuff about politics and the chemtrails and the aliens and the disclosure and all, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that we individually serve love's co-creation, not some religion, not some following. I'm no guru, I'm no master, I'm no one to follow. What I'm like is, the nice little lady who's at the corner with the stop sign and the go sign, and she helps the kid, the crossing guard. That's me. You know, I am your little sensei Al Bob crossing guard, so you can go from this meat puppet reality into your Akashic record. That's it. That's kind of the crossing guard that I'm doing here. And what I'm really trying to do is like, so yeah, so here you are, not knowing how to do it. I help you, cross, and I see what's this playlist on your channel. Huh. So you can see my playlist. Good. So I'm going to just keep putting interesting YouTubes up there, and you can go to them. And there's this thing called Wind Channel. That's pretty, I mean, they all have agendas, but some of them have some pretty interesting information. There's this thing, stopthecrime.net. This, very bourgeois lady, you know, kind of somebody opened up, they gave her a good jug of suspension of disbelief, and she saw what happened on 9/11. She saw that her town got, you know, microwave from space. She is like livid. Someone just kind of took the little veil away, and she is like going, and she goes to these, she went to the town that is, got nuked in California, her little town, whatever they call that town. But she went to the city council meeting, and they were putting down stuff straight up 20, Agenda 21, about smart cities and pack and stack and all of that. And she had all that data, off of their, UN, you know, website, and she was showing it to them, and they couldn't believe that the stuff that she was, she had a PowerPoint, they plugged it in, she's like going, look at this, look at this, look at this, and it's all the stuff that they thought they wrote. They thought they were being so progressive. Anyway, all of that stuff doesn't really matter. What matters is, do you know who you are? Do you know where you came from? Do you know what you're doing? Okay. So anybody who knows how to set this stuff up, contact me on the dude awake 42 at Gmail, and we'll have a conversation. Let's have, little, so I talk to you, you talk to me, we go back and forth. I get maybe no. So, the bottom line is, I love the way you guys are jumping in. I love the way I'm able to excite you to step up, because that's what all I'm trying to do, is that. Yes, whatever you can send me, if you send me anything, Western Union, and then contact me on the Dude Awake 42. Every time someone has done that, it has saved my bacon just by the minute. It really is. Like the other day, I had a flat tire. I'd still be on the side of the road if that member of the cadre didn't send me some money. And it was exactly how much a new tire. And I told you that story. I went in there and they wanted 200 something dollars. And then I sat in the circle of all the really freaked out people getting their car fixed, and held their hand and got them all to meditate. And we were like levitating the Firestone out of the shopping mall. And the owner, the manager guy, he, that's where I get my car service. So he's, I've known him a number of years. I've read his palm. Sat him down because he was like, and I showed him how to meditate, and he still does because that's the only way he can deal with all this chaos in that business. Anyway, he came over and said, "Al, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, you're telling me you can't fix my tire until next week. Well, I'm just going to have to, sleep here. He goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to, I'll shower in the sink in the bathroom there, and, I'll just drink coffee from your urn over there." And he goes, "Ugh," and he walks away. And what's truly amazing, because all these people there, he was telling them that they wouldn't get out till 7 p.m. Well, he comes back after I got everyone chanting Kumbaya. He comes back half an hour later, and all his mechanics have fixed everyone's car. And he has changed my tire. Right? And so I said, "But, you told me it's $260. He goes, "How much money do you have?" I take every nickel I have out of my wallet, and it's $62. He goes, "It's $62. And he filled up my gas tank. Right? So, yes, I got no money now. I mean, actually, I then started to clean out the back of my car, and I found $32. Exactly, buddy. I have very little, but it's always enough. Exactly. That's what I'm here for. To help. What makes me happy is to make you guys happy. And because you're happy, you're making all the rest of our relations happy. And as we are the little pebble in the pond, we become the tsunami of love's co creation. Yep. And see how everyone, I mean, it's truly amazing. You guys really should go back and look at these past shows and see the words you used to use. You have you have changed your consciousness. You're ascending instead of like going backwards, instead of letting yourself get hit in the head with a 2x4, you're actually ascending your consciousness. And that's your consciousness. People confuse their soul, they confuse, their their avatar, their body, their soul body, all these things. That's who they are. Sorry, not really. Hey, Miss Sarah. So, and I love the way all you guys love each other. You again, if you went back and read the stuff you said about each other when you first met each other, like about a month ago or a little more, you guys have so frigging changed. It's amazing. Now, I got this little thing called the photograph of memory, so I kind of remember not all of it, but choice moments. And it makes me so happy that you guys are really all together now. And you are not falling for someone's agenda. You're not because I don't have one. I don't believe in anything. I only have faith in love's co-creation. And that is not an agenda. That is existence. So, what I was thinking, yep, fear porn. And it's so my grandma brought me up. Then at around 7, I was brought back to my family. And they didn't even know I was gone. But my grandma said, it's time that you go back to your parents and your family and kind of, ease into them. And she gave me the your father, don't ever poke him in the eye. Just say, "Yes, sir," right away, sir, and then go do whatever you want. Right? Your mother, just never make her mad. Period. She likes flowers. Give her flowers. Anyway, so I went home, and I was like, my grandma used to call me. She used to call me either Little Devil, Woodsy Owl, or she used to call me her little man, right? And because my dad would buy me a new suit at Brooks Brothers every year, and that's what I'd wear. And I always got a camel's hair coat, and bunch of a white shirt, a blue shirt, a more sexy shirt, a couple of ties, and then a suit. Pants, jacket, vest. And I looked that way, and I had a bow tie. I love bow ties, the ones that clip on the back. And until I was about 8, I wore that suit all the time like a uniform, like my dad, his Air Force uniform. And so anyway, I came home, and it was like, I had this unconditionally loving Italian grandma who could cook and everything. And I lived in a neighborhood where it was the whole neighborhood of 500,000 people kind of knew each other. It was like Kevin Bacon, you were 7 points. There were no police. There was no authority. The people who ruled there were grandmas. Better not do that. I'll tell your grandma. And then I came home, and my mom was like drinking like a fish and smoking like a chimney, and my dad was, "Arr!" And my brothers and sisters were like a pack of feral wolves. And this little cute little peanut guy was, who only wanted to, think about electrons, so I kind of made a lab in my basement and stayed down there and built time machines. And anyway, so within a month or two, and I have to say, my brother has always been my brother. He is so different than me. He is like tough love. He basically, when his son got into cocaine, he told the police chief to throw him in jail because the guy said, no, you don't understand. Your son is a white, he's going to college. And, he had like an ounce of coke. He goes, he's going to jail for 15 years easy with these new sentencing things that, Bill Clinton passed. And my brother said, well, it'll like mature him. He goes, no, he'll die there. They will kill him within weeks. You don't understand. No, get him a lawyer. No, I'm not gonna. That's my brother, right? Me, we've always been two brothers who shared a bedroom since I was 7, right? And he was always, and then when I became Disco King, things switched, meaning he, wanted to go to those clubs. He couldn't get in. He wanted to party. He couldn't, so he moved into New York and lived in one of my apartments, and I was the dude. And if you ever saw Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, that was my brother and I. So my brother and I have always been tight, and we still are. And I'm smart enough to, he only watches his, Fox TV and this and that. And I never, say anything about politics. A few times I'll say a few choice things. But my brother is a smart guy. And so he was like those two teachers who I saw this morning. And I basically give him thoughts to think about that I know that he will think about, but won't confront his worldview. And then he, like one time, I went and got a video. It was one of these things. It was, I forgot even what it was about, but the guy was being played by, who's the guy who played Malcolm X? That guy, black actor. And I even forget what movie it was. But there's this one point where this one guy goes, well, what about justice? And, this guy says exactly what all the lawyers would tell me. There is no justice. It's all only about money. But our government, we have a democracy. We've never had a democracy. The United States is a corporation. And we watched this movie together at his house. And then he was like, that's the best movie ever. Denzel Washington is the actor. And he, so I kind of put little ideas in his mind and give him things to think about. And then 10 years later, he'll be spouting off what I told him 10 years ago. And he goes, I've thought of this. And, yeah, good. Mm-hmm. So he and I were always tight. So he wasn't my problem. But the rest, it was like, my sisters, my parents. And so for some reason, when I was a little kid at my grandma's, I could get out of bed and go use the bathroom and never even turn on the lights. I was an owl. But I had no idea why I kept wetting the bed, right? So, my parents were all freaked out about it. They want me to go to a shrink, da 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 da. And grandma says, "Oh, no, no. Just let him come back and I'll take care of it." And they said, "Okay." So they didn't have to spend any money on me. And they didn't even know I was there to begin with. It's just the smell of the pee in the bed. So I go back to my grandma's, and one of our little traditions was we'd go see a movie every Wednesday. And then we would go to Shraff's for a Sunday, right? And she loved movies. I mean, she knew everything about, because she'd been watching movies since the 20s, right? So anyway, and she loved every kind of movie, and she had all the movie magazines, and, she really had it down. She should have been writing a thing in the newspaper. Yeah, the Sovereign Republic of Ireland. It's a registered corporation in Washington. Ow. So we go watch this movie called Forbidden Planet, right? And it's Prosperos, which is a play by Shakespeare, and there's the Greek play about it. And what it is the smartest guy in the kingdom, and he's the king's magician and smart guy, right? Whenever he needs to know the answer, he goes to this guy. Well, the king gets a little antsy because this guy's so smart. Why does he need, he'll just get rid of me and he'll be king. But he can't just kill him because he needs him. So what he does on an island he can't get off, and it's a beautiful island, and it's got a beautiful castle, and he stocks it up with all the provisions and everything he'd ever want, right? But leaves him there alone. Big library, whatever he needs, he had, but he had to stay there all alone because he was scared that if he had anybody, he'd build an army out of that one person. So what does Prosperos do? He genetically engineers the animals into, and that's where the term Camara comes from, where you take two species, put it together. And so he brings these animals together, and his best buddy is Enkidu. And they go through all these adventures. And the bottom line is, and this is again, Mary Shelley took this and made it into Frankenstein, and the Island of Dr. Moreau. These are all that same thing, right? And the bottom line was, Enkidu was more of the human being than Prosperos. Prosperos, who is a human being, and it's kind of ego, really not a nice guy. But Enkidu, who's like half bull and half, bit of, and, Prosperos kept calling him, "You're my son," and then he treated him like a bad dad, right? So my grandma takes me to this movie called Forbidden Planet, made in the mid-50s, and it's the mid-50s, thing. It's like Close Encounters and Star Wars, but I mean, it was the most amazing, like all the special effects that they made for that movie, they used for the next 20 years, right? And so it's an amazing movie, right? And so you have these chuckleheads on a faster than light starship pull into the solar system, and they don't do the math right, so they don't kind of come to an easy slowdown into the solar system. They kind of hit the brakes, so much so that it pulls one of the planets in front of the sun, thus making a solar eclipse on this planet. And they're going there because, like 30 years ago, this Earth crew found this planet and stayed there because there was a interesting ancient civilization there. And so they were there. And these guys hadn't heard the big company back at Earth hadn't heard Hyde and Harriman for the last few years. So they send these chuckleheads to go check them out. Well, it's not like a quiet little come on in, because they cause a solar eclipse on this planet. And so, the guy goes, "Who the fuck are you guys? Well, what's up there? What are you?" And they said, "Oh, we're from Earth. We've been sent to check in on you, see how you're doing." "I don't need you. Get out of here." And they go, well, we can't really go anywhere because we burnt out our star drive, and we are, we can only, you know, stay right here, or we can land, right? And maybe you could help us fix it out. It's like, going to the mechanic. Maybe you can, it's like me going to my mechanic. Maybe you can fix my car. Anyway, so these guys land on the planet, and they use theremin. All the music for the back of this movie is the theremin. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And so these guys land, and they get out, and they're looking around, and it's like this. It's not. It's like California without any trees, right? And it's really beautiful, but it's just rocks and sand, and they look down, and in the sand instead of the rocks are diamonds. And anyway, so they're like pretty amazed about all this, and all of a sudden they see this cloud of smoke coming towards their direction, right? And they kind of freak out. Who the fuck's this? And they get their ray guns, and they're like this, ready. And so this like Volkswagen pulls up, and instead of a one of those little things on the radiator, there's a robot there, Robbie the robot, right? And he goes, "Good day, gentlemen. Dr. Morpheus has sent me to bring, the captain and the doctor and the second in command to come and visit, and talk over what you need, and I will take care of all your needs." So this is an AI. This is a robot that's smarter than anybody, right? So they jump into this Volkswagen, and they go, and this guy's got a house that you can't believe, and waterfalls and all this great stuff. And so Morbius comes out. He's wearing all black. He's got a cape. He looks really cool. He's got a goatee. And they kind of parse it out. And he goes, "Okay, Robbie will fix your vehicle. It'll take you probably a week. So you guys have to stay on your ship. You can't go snooping around because there is a life form on this planet that's pretty dangerous. And if you, cross it, I can't protect you, So if you stay in your ship, stay within, quarter mile of your ship, play volleyball, whatever, but don't go exploring, okay? Okay. So they agree. Robbie takes him back in the Volkswagen, and he starts fixing their ship, right? And the guys are getting a little antsy. They've been in that ship, in that tin can for the last 6 months, and they want to. So they, within a quarter mile, they're finding all the stuff, diamonds and this and that, and the robot will give them anything. This one guy goes, "I want some bourbon, Kentucky bourbon," and the robot goes, "Do you have any?" And the guy goes, "Yes, I got my last little flask." And so Robbie opens the flask and go, and the guy goes, "That's the last." And he goes, "Well, I needed to have a sample. I will come back." And he brings him like 1,000 gallons of, the best Kentucky bourbon, right? And the guy is like, so everyone gets drunk, and they're having a good old time. And then they start hearing, the groans of the monster. They don't show up. And then the next day, Morbius shows up, and he's got his daughter with him, right? And now she's the only man she's ever seen is her father, right? So she's hanging out there, and the doctor is kind of a Don Juan, right? So he's trying to hit on her. No, the doctor's the smart one. He's like the science officer. The second in command is the Don Juan. So he's like putting all these moves on. Well, she's never seen a guy do moves, right? So the captain, who really likes her, but he's the captain, so he's got to be prim and proper. And so once he finds his second in command hitting on her, like behind the rock and making the moves, and this girl has no idea. She'll be in her underpants before you know it. Anyway, he says, "Stop it," and she thinks he's like a prig, and then, of course, away from the quarter mile, and shows him, She can drive the Volkswagen, and she shows them all these amazing, these great springs and waterfalls, and they go swimming naked, and she doesn't even think about it. She has no modesty whatsoever. And the guy's like, and he sees her totally naked. He's like, right. Anyway, so I'm watching this movie, but my grandma, usually we sit in the back so we get to, because it's Wednesday afternoon. And these are the old time movie theaters that are big enough for like 600,000 people, not the Cinemex of 20 different movie theaters. Anyway, so normally we sit in the back where we can get the big picture. She makes me sit in the front seat, the aisle, right? And I'm looking straight up at this thing, right? And it's like right, the screen is like right there, and I'm looking at it. And anyway, so the movie goes on and on and on. And so the two fall in love. And so the monster starts attacking the ship. And they're not out of the woods yet. They still got a week or so before Robbie can fix things up. And the monster, there's this thing on the radar. It's as big as a building. You can't see it. It's invisible monster. Comes, and the guys run out there with their ray guns, and the monster throws them around and kills a few of them. And ray guns have no anything, right? So, Morbius shows up. You guys got to go. You've been attacked. The monsters, the Kraken has been left loose. And anyway, so you got to, when we last left you guys here, there were 100 of you, and then there were none. Now it's just you and your daughter, and won't tell me. You got to tell me the story. And this monster, no, there's so many. I mean, there are all these. The story. Wait, so what is the story? So it's okay. You want to know the story? Get in the car. So they get in the car, and he brings them underground. And it's this city, this entity, this thing. It's a machine. And the culture was called the Krell. And he tells the whole story about how this amazing culture, evolved. Their they didn't kill each other with war. It was like they had art and everything, and they came to all the solar systems. And the reason why humans are on Earth is because they put them there, the Anunnaki, right? And so he gives them all the story, and it's like totally a Sitchin story, it's really amazing, right? So he says, you'll be lucky to get out of here alive. The monster has been let loose. Anyway, so they go back, and so they bring out the big guns. They take the big ray guns out of their ship and put it right there and hook it up to a nuclear pile, like more energy than a sun, a fusion pile. And of course, the monster shows up again. Now they got the big guns now instead of their little hand ray guns. They got the big guns, that could obliterate half a planet from space, and doesn't even scratch this monster. And so I'm sitting there looking at this thing, right? And you can only see the monster when they're hitting it with all these, antimatter rays from, a fusion pile. So, and it outlines the monster. Again, just like Lucifer, and the light outlines the darkness. I mean, this movie has every metaphor in the book. I mean, if you were to go see, 3 movies, Gangs of New York, this movie, Forbidden Planet, and Captain America, the second one, right? When you really get to... Anyway, are we back? So, anyway, long story short, after that, and the monster kills more, guys, and so the second in command gets whacked. The Romeo, right? And so the captain and the doctor go back to Morpheus' house. And so, okay, what the heck is that? I mean, we just got it. And the guy said, I told you you'd get out here on the skin of your teeth. Anyway, so what happens is, the he goes, okay, we got these laws. You're Earthlings. I'm taking you and your daughter out of here. You're not safe here. No, we're immune to this. It'll be fine. Just get out of here. And the girl, Honey West, she goes, Father, I want to go with him. And he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, I love him. What? No, 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 no. You don't love him. Yes, heart and soul. But he's going to die. He's toast, buddy. And she goes, I don't care. I will die with him. He goes, no, don't say that. And then all of a sudden, Robbie goes, Morbius, there's something coming from the east, right? And he goes, protect the house. So force field, Krell steel, the whole thing. And the monster comes, walks right through the force field, and then they button the thing up, and the monster starts clawing. You can see the claws into the Krell steel, and yep, Fantastic Planet. So the doctor goes down to the Krell lab, and they had this like brain booster device, right? So he puts it on his head, and he becomes like a Krell. So, as and Morbius, tell the monster that you don't love this man, and she goes, no, Father, I'm going to die with him. And he's like, this is his little baby, and he's like going to the monster, stop, I command you. And then the monster kind of quiets down for a moment, but he's still out there. You can hear him seething. And Robbie goes, Morbius, come here. And so they go into the underground gigantic machine that was, where the Krell machine is, and they got this door, like vault door, and they close it. And it's like 40 feet of Krell steel. Where the monster was having a little hard time getting through half-inch Krell steel, this is like 40 feet of this stuff, indestructible. And it absorbs energy. Like if you hit it with a hydrogen bomb, it would just make it stronger. So, and they go and they find the doctor who is like plugged himself into the brain boost, and he tells, hey, listen, Morbius, you didn't get the idea, that machine, what is it there for? It instantaneously creates anything your id tells it, right? So this thing, so nobody would have to work. They would just think of it, and being that have a ham sandwich from your id, which is no matter how sophisticated or cultured you are, that's where the little reptile is. And so if you thought you were pissed off about something, you didn't like that person, well, this machine would come and get you. Anyway, so the machine, right. So finally, Morbius kills himself. The doctor dies, and Morbius kills himself, and they bury everyone, and they leave, right? So the movie ends, and my neck is killing me because I've been watching this movie like this because I'm this close to the movie, this gigantic Panoscope movie. And so we go to the ice cream, Schraff's, and I got my sundae, and my grandma goes, so, what did you think of that movie? I said, Grandma, why did you make me sit up in the front row? And she said, so what did you think of that monster? And I said, monster? Oh, because what they did to animate that monster, they shot that film in 70 millimeters. So each frame was this big. So they had a guy etch the monster in front of a mountain, so it was black. So he would be, Anyway, and so she goes, did that scare you? And I said, no. It was obvious, sketched into the friggin', it was just a cartoon. And she goes, that's what fear is. It's a cartoon. I go, whoa. She goes, you are scared at your parents' house. From now on, just see your father, your mother, your sisters as sketched in cartoons. And she goes, and tonight, when you go to bed, you're going to have a dream about this monster. And you're going to walk up to it, not with a ray gun or anything, but you're going to run between its legs, and it will swipe at you because you're so small and you're running, it won't be able to get you. And then you will see that it's wearing red sneakers. You will untie the strings and tie them together. And then run out in front of the monster, go, nah, 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 and then he will go to run after you and he will fall over. And he is so big, he won't be able to get up. So from that time, my whole life, I've not been scared of anything because I always visualize it as the monster cartoon that it is. And that's what fear is. It is the monster cartoon. And all you have to do to be safe is to slow time down, to open up your etheric wall and feel with empathy what's around you. Don't let things get in your grill, with whatever person, whatever emotional, whatever ever. See it 3 blocks away, meaning I'm looking at things 3 blocks away. Now, when I'm unconscious, when I'm that 20% moron, well, that's when crap happens to me, I should have not gone the way I did the day I did. I had a choice, turn here and stop at 3 or 4 lights or go the back way. Well, I went the back way and I got that gigantic nail in my tire. If I said, well, I'm not in any hurry, why should I? And so, getting that speeding ticket and that, that's like, okay, those are 2 things. I have learned to be patient when I'm driving, Yep. And I try to have 7 to 10 car lengths between me and everything in the world, right? But I'm here stuck. And, if I was in moving forward into new ventures, new exciting things, this wouldn't be. But I'm being stuck here for a reason. The universe really, really, really wants me to learn this lesson. And, I'm, and it'll give me as many, it's not like 3 strikes and then I'll be dead. No, I'll have 4 strikes and then 6 strikes, 10, it's like, okay, patience, I got it. So how do you feel, Bubba, about, how you stuck? What's that feeling like? What's it manifesting? I'm really happy that you, spoke up. So give me your insights on your stickiness. Fear is a cartoon. That's right, Jane. Now, if you all can visualize that, right? So let's talk about this for a few minutes, and then I want to take you into state and take you into the world of fear, right? And show you, the pyramid of the control structure of what we live in here, right? The ownership, the owners that no one knows who they are, the managers, that everyone thinks that the people who rule are the Illuminati. No, the Illuminati is the lower end of the management crew, Grannies know, they always know. We need to, that's why, if I start a government, there'll be a facilitator, but the folks who pick the agenda will be the grandmother's council. This is true, Rose. No one knows who or what they are because they are so befuddled by their presence in their avatar, their mud puppet, that they can't really, I'm relaxed and I'm conscious of anger and negative emotions and I'm at peace with my soul. Okay, buddy. Well, you're ahead of the game by light years for most. See it 3 blocks away. Exactly. Don't let shit get in your grill. And that's why we breathe 20% more. And when I do that, some days I will meditate like that 4 or 5 times an hour. And then everything flows just nicely, and I don't get anything in my grill, and there is no problems, and there is no, right? But sometimes I'm just do 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 do. I'm like Yogi Bear. I'm like Yogi Bear and Boo Boo mixed together. It'd be fine if I was just Boo Boo. Boo Boo's great. He almost looks like Yoda, you know. And Yogi's okay too because he's like so oblivious that he is like the innocent moron, you know. So, but I'm the mix of the two, and not good when I'm like lurking for that picnic basket when I know I forget that there's one on my frigging arm. Ay, ay, ay. What can I say? But that's why I'm your Sensei Al Bob. I'm here to be that comic relief, because who was the funniest guy in all of those, Star Wars films? Of course, Yoda. He was the only one who kind of quipped, When Luke first meets him, he's just like in this little house, and he just keeps saying jokes that poor Luke doesn't even get. Yep, refining the fire. That's alchemy. And that is alchemy, refining the fire. So, anyone else have some interesting things to say before we hit on to going into the tree and the kind of thing we're going to look for, because this is the essence of nature. Because the essence of nature is the reflection of fear, meaning fear is here, essence of nature is here. So the little crack in the root that we're going to go down is going to be the essence of nature, right? And we're going to see natural causes, the natural connections of understanding who we are, where we came from, why we are here. Those are the things in the essence of nature. Okay? Okay. Okay, here we go. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 3 seconds. So, everyone get comfy. All 11, Sit yourself down in the chair or lie down. Don't cross anything. And start breathing. And one, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. Breathing in 20%. And then I'm breathing out 30%. See it clearly. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. See it clearly. You're breathing in 20%, filling your lungs. You're breathing in the prana, the life force of the universe, the life force of love's co-creation, the life force of all your relations. See it clearly. You're no longer conscious of your avatar. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. Your monkey in the squirrel cage is quiet. You're not thinking of anything but breathing that 20% in, breathing in that prana, grounding yourself off in that chi, seeing your prana energize every cell of your body as the blood flows from your lungs, picking up all that prana and then energizing itself as a scalar generator, as the flow goes clockwise against the wall of the vein, the artery, the capillary, and then with inside of that, it goes counterclockwise, and inside of that, clockwise. And you see in your imaginary mirror that's lighting up with this prana force. You see every cell of your body being energized. See your mitochondria being just charged like lightning bolts. See it clearly. And one, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of conscious focus. Focus your conscious mind on your breath. You've illuminated yourself. You see yourself in your imaginary mirror. You take that light and illuminate it into your subconscious mind. See it clearly. And your subconscious mind is not a scary place. It is your library of your Akashic record. Your Akashic record is the document of your soul's total experience from the alpha to the omega. And this is the realization that there is no time. The avatar only experiences time so you can experience that time and learn. And that's why you took your free will to choose to go through this, but you got stuck. Your anchor got dropped. You keep dying and then being reincarnated over and over again. You don't need to do that if you just ascend to your higher consciousness, be aware of your consciousness. And you go into your library, and as you're walking in front of you is the fireplace of the hearth of the eternal flame. That blue flame is burning. And to your left, you see your librarian. And to the left of your librarian is your animal totem. And to the left of your animal totem is your guardian angel. See it clearly. See it clearly. And you sit down at your reading table, and your librarian bring you your Akashic record. Now you open it up, and you put your left hand on the left page, your right hand on the right page, and you lean into your Akashic record. And you empty all the anger, all the fear, all the anxiety, all the self-loathing, all the avarice into your Akashic record. Every negative feeling, and you're kind of dredging it up. And that last black, that dark oil, that stickiness, which is the essence of being stuck, which is the essence of dropping your anchor and being in that perennial circle of the same thing over and over and over. And you let that go. You're released. Boom, you've closed the book on it. Now I want you to go back there at your own leisure during the days ahead and enter into your Akashic record and see all of these times that you have emptied out your anger and fear into that book. And you will see what it truly is, because it's no longer in you. You're not emotionally attached to it. And there's 28 little screens all the way around, which will give you a multi-dimensional picture of everything that you're feeling or were feeling in your fear. So you go, oh, wow, look, that's no big deal. I don't need to be scared of that. And look at that. Okay, I won't do that again. That's what your Akashic record is for. Plus, you can get a look at all of your past lives and all your lives into the future. Now, the future is interesting because you can see it, but it isn't stuck. It can change. You can change it. See that clearly. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. You have illuminated yourself with your breath. You have cleansed your body with the prana and the grounding of the chi. And with your exhaling 30%, you have eliminated more toxins from your body than any other elimination, right? Forget about doing fasting and cleanses. I mean, as long as you breathe like this 5, 10 times a day, you will expel all of the toxins, all the diseases. You do this 5, 10 times a day. From now on, you will live an extra 40 years. How do you think I survived dying 6 times? Right? I mean, I take things to the extreme, but you don't have to. You can find balance, you know? You can find who you are in your Akashic record. You can find where you came from in your Akashic record. And you can find what you were sent here to do. See it clearly, and you have your librarian, any more knowledge you need, your librarian will bring you. Your animal totem is there as your griot. I give you these metaphors to look at. They're not set in stone. They can be anything you want. That's your Akashic record. You can, once you really get good at going in and out of this, you can see whatever you want to see, You can give a title but those three, they are your guides. And one brings you the information. That's why I call it the, librarian, because you're in a library. Your Akashic record is part of the library, the Akashic record. Librarian makes sense, right? Animal totem, Now, in many indigenous folk, they see the animal representing certain spiritual powers. And those majority of those spiritual powers are ones of bringing understanding, not so much truth, but understanding of the question. I mean, why do we, when we sweat, why do we make tobacco ties? Because we've got an issue or a problem or a question, and we put tobacco in a tie and put it on the ceiling of the sweat lodge. And when we sweat, that tobacco, even though we're not burning it, it takes that to the great maker, who then brings the answer through the sweat. Because when you sweat, and when you sweat in a sweat lodge, you basically get to and you're not really even close medically to dying unless you're really stupid, but you get to a place where you'll have a vision. Yeah, so instead of taking LSD or, Ananas up your nose or any other drug, just go sweat lodge, right? And if you have a good teacher or sensei and you do, you have your Sensei Albab, and when we come together, we're going to build a sweat lodge together, which is not a hard thing to do. I built, I don't want to say 100, but almost 100 sweat lodges, because if you build a sweat lodge, so I would travel all over the place, and I would go into these towns, and I would spunk people up like I'm doing you guys, and we would find a place. Somebody's, had a farm, or somebody had a nice house with a backyard, and we do all kind. I would have my school there, right? And I would build a cadre, and those folks would be neighbors and friends, and in their town, and I would do this in their town. So when I left, their town would be spun up. And there are many towns all through America and Europe that I've done this to, and those sweat lodges and that was one of the ceremonial shamanic things I did, is that with my cadre, with my adepts of that little town or neighborhood or school or county or whatever, we would do these things that I could leave there, right? We'd build a garden. I would do a bunch of things that we could do together, and I would energetically make it a ceremony. And at a certain point, they would become aware of that, and I would show them what that ceremony was and how to do it so they could do it for others after I left. And that is the idea of our traveling video art circus, right? And we're going to have to give it names that the powers that shouldn't be and the sock puppets and the hidden hand can go, yes, we can get by, this will be a great, we can really, get a hold of people's conscience. Yeah, that's right, buddy. But we're going to be back engineering this. And the ones at the very tip, the owners, they will be going, okay, we've been waiting for these guys. And this will be that shift that we've been holding it together. And yes, it's gotten darker and darker and darker. And that oil is like getting in everyone's eyes. But this cadre, this bunch of, Chuckaluk adepts and that Sensei Al Bob, what a funny guy he is. They are the folks for the job. This is going to happen. This is going to happen between now and spring. And then from spring up until fall, this is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And we will be together and we will build our little mechanism that we can offer it, within the constructs of their limited way of looking at things. And baby, we're going to have some fun. Yep. And the fun thing about how I do this, I use the great law of the Iroquois Nation. And what they, when you went into the longhouse, and that's where everyone could fit and everyone could be heard. One of the why people are so neurotic is that no one listens. We got 2 ears to hear. We got one mouth. We should shut this and use this more. And in the longhouse, because you pass the feather around, and the only person who speaks is with the feather. And you only get to talk for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you got to pass it on. You got nothing to say, you pass it on. And you have the facilitator, you have the scribe, you have the vibes watcher, and the gatekeeper, right? And there is a thing called the Grandmother's Council. And they're part there, but they lead by example. So they only speak when they've got something to say, right? But they are the ones who facilitate the agenda. The facilitator just facilitates the circle, has no real power, isn't the president, can't do anything by executive order, except lead by example. So there are those 5, the facilitator, scribe, vibes watcher, just trying to turn down the thing just in case someone tries to break in. So the meeting starts. The facilitator says a few words to inspire, and the agenda has already been set by consensus from the last meeting, and they go around in the circle to the left, right? And so everyone gets to say what they want. They go around again, and then they start talking about the agenda and go around and around and around. And if anyone gets stuck, if anyone gets heated, if anyone causes an argument, and there's a brouhaha amongst the group, the vibe watcher has the power to say, okay, everyone breathe, okay, out, and does the 20% in, 40% out. Because in this meeting, you need 10 more percent to get that nastiness out of you. And if they need to visualize the Akashic record to put the darkness in there, then they do that. But if it still can't, that person is such what is known as a Stalinist obstructionist, still, they have their agenda, and no matter how much they breathe or how much they visualize the dark oil leaving them, they still have to, try to break it up. Well, the vibes watcher has the authority to throw the guy out or gal. And there's this group called Shantasena who's got the muscle to, who's going to throw me out? Well, those 10 muscular guys who you in half are going to throw you out. Not me. I'm just the vibe watcher. So the scribe does what a scribe does, writes everything down. The gatekeeper's there before anyone comes in and has a copy of what was consensed from the minutes of the last gathering, right? So, were you here at the last gathering? Yes. Okay. Did you consent to what's on this? Yes. Okay. So that means you won't have an argument about this. Were you here to last meeting? No. Did you read this? No. You got to read it before you come in. You have to consent to agree to go to this. What's the agenda is, and consents on the path that the group wants to, the cadre wants to do. If you can't come in, and that's what the gatekeeper does. So that the whole thing goes da da da. Very nice. Most time perfect, right? Scribes writing everything down. Vibe watchers watching the vibes. The gatekeepers, like he's the sergeant at arms, or she is, at the door. Yes, meditation always brings up a lot of emotions and brings me to tears every time. Good. Tears wash all of the fear away. The blue light forms on my screen is quite soothing. And that's, why do you think I'm doing that? I love you, buddy. Because buddy always jumps straight to the meat of the matter, you know? So this process, right, of the facilitator, scribe, vibes watcher, gatekeeper, right? So the meeting, everyone agrees, consensus to what, the next meeting, when it's going to be, what time it's going to be, where it's going to be, what you're going to talk about. And you may have working groups where people go off and do things, like there's this group and that group, and they all until the next meeting of the Longhouse, they have the authority to go off and do what, that group is supposed to do, right? And so the end of that meeting, what happens is, so we've consented to all this. So the facilitator, no longer the facilitator, the scribe who's been writing it all down becomes the facilitator for the next meeting, because who better to run the next meeting than the person that wrote everything down? And then the vibe watcher becomes the scribe, and the gatekeeper becomes the vibe watcher, and the group, the last thing they do before the ending prayer, they pick the next gatekeeper. This way, everyone in the group gets to be the facilitator, the scribe, the vibe watcher, gatekeeper, right? And everyone is held accountable for what happens. Everyone has the authority. There's no leader that could be knocked off, right? Or hold the whole group, in jail by their will. Vivid unearthly. Okay, so that was just a little business matter, because you are floating there happy, and you've emptied all the anger out of you, and you're entering into the open doorway of your superconscious mind, and you're going over the bridge of the id, and you're seeing your sanctuary of your own choosing, and you're going down and you're stepping in it. Once you're feeling love's unconditional forgiveness and just love, feel that love, right? And you walk in, and your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel are with you. But this is like a vacation for them, because this is your safe place, And so they run over to the lake of the link and jump in with all of the other guides from your cadre, and you all go to the meadow and lie down on your blankie and get energized by the sun, and you go over to the tree of life, and you look down at the roots, and there's this root of the essence of nature. And what is nature but everything? Right? That's nature, everything. And you see the little gold light come up, and you got your telescope eye, and you look down into that land of the essence of nature, all your relations, See it clearly. And of all of the worlds I've taken you to, the essence of nature is the one that cuts across all bounds. You know, it is the essence of nature, what makes things up. And it isn't the illusionary world of the meat puppet, no, or the mud puppet, or the ugly bag of water. No, that's the illusion of hate and fear. That actually, the material world that we think we live in is hell. You know, and all those things that are beautiful, that represent love, if they are not created with love's co-creation, they're just an illusion to disarm you. See that clearly. So now, right? And there's all these things that I want you to discover of the essence of nature, right? But in the essence of nature is the longhouse, the hedgerow longhouse. And what this is, visualize the Iroquois Nation's longhouse, this, made out of birch bark and limbs, and it's about 20 feet high and about 40 feet wide and about forever long. So it's going to have to be pretty big to fit in all your relations. And it's, even though when you look at it straight on, it looks straight, it's a circle. So you enter in the circle of life, which is the essence of nature. And Father, the great maker, and Mother, the ground, the chi, the prana, which is Father, the chi, that is the Mother, is the essence of this connection of the longhouse and the hedgerow. And the hedgerow, the Gaelic, Irish hedgerow, which is first made of stones of the field, and then you have the witch hazel, and you have the hawthorn, and you have and roses, and all of the thorned bushes make up the hedgerow. And the limbs, the vines, because they're so old, they're as thick as trees. So it's like not easy to get through this. So this is circling around the hedgerow. So this is the essence of nature, protects love's co-creation. See it clearly. And we are all going into the hedgerow. Now this hedgerow that is in the essence of nature it's I don't want to say magical place because that's erroneous. It's a natural place, and therefore it is has everything in it. It's made of everything. So whatever we need. So in the process of parsing, of discussing, of creating a consensus between all of us, because the consensus of the great link. And that is the essence of love's co-creation. This can be anything. So we're going to go in there with all our relations, and we're going to have a sweat, right? And whatever sweat lodge you go into, this is, once you get sweaty in there, this is what will enable you to clear your mind, so you won't, oh, I'm hot, I'm sticky, I want to get out of here. No, you will be in the place where you'll be in love's co-creation, saying, okay, I want a vision. I want to know vision. I want to know where I came from. That's a vision. I want to know what I'm doing here and what I should be doing to give me, the path to move forward, where I can feel better and better about myself and my connection to all my relations. See this clearly. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You've illuminated yourself. You've taken yourself into your Akashic record, and then you've gone from your Akashic record, once you've emptied all the fear and anger out of you, into your sanctuary of your own choosing, and you've gone to the east of your picnic blanket and gone to the tree of life next to the lake of the link of consciousness of all your relations, and all of our guides are having a grand old time playing around in the Great Lake, and we have gone down the crack in the root that is the essence of nature, and we've come out into this big valley, which in the west of North America and in Australia and the plains, these are all plains, and in the plains of the Ukraine and Russia and Siberia, these are all places of the essence of nature where everything would grow. And these are plains like thousands of miles in every direction. You had 40 feet of the darkest loam that would grow anything. That's what the plains are. And that is when you come out of the crack and up into the essence of nature, that's what you're going to see. This unlimited natural plane, a plane of existence of nature's love's co-creation, where anything can grow, where anything can be facilitated, and where you, going into the sacred, lodge, the longhouse hedgerow, you walk through the entrance of the hedgerow that opens for you. And once you all walk through and you're in this gigantic meadow that the longhouse is on, the opening closes. So no one can come in, no one can attack, no one can disrupt, this parsing of our consciousness amongst all of us. See it clearly. So we all go into the hedgerow longhouse, and there's a big fire. The fire, the blue flame of the eternal flame, is in a fire pit. And in that fire pit, there are big fire stones. And there are fire keepers, right? Big, muscular men and women, right? And they're wearing a leather apron that protects them from the fire and the hot stones. And they have these big shovels with big, long wooden things that hold the shovel. And they can scoop up these big firestones and they can walk them into the sweat lodge. And right in the middle, we're all sitting around this big fire circle. And instead of a fire there, what is placed in there are these fire stones, very hot, glowing red. And they place it and they make a pile of them. And then they go and close the door, and it gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And the moisture, we're on the ground, which is moist. And that heat makes like steam, right? And that's when we make our tobacco ties. Take tobacco, we put it in a little square of material, and we tie it with thread, a thread of life, and we tie it up on the ceiling of the sweat lodge, which is also the longhouse. So we're sitting there, and I'm talking to you and telling you stories and giving you insights and saying to anyone, has anyone had a vision? Let's talk about whatever vision that you might have had. Buddy, have you had a vision? Jamie, have you had a vision? Ink, have you had a vision? Jane, have you had a vision? Jack? Then I will go in state and have a vision. Thank you, buddy. The vision I'm having, that I'm sharing with all of you, is that we are underneath the pyramids of Egypt, Khufu. And it's 1 billion years ago that this pyramid was built. And it's taller than anything that has ever been built by man since. And we, in the base of the pyramid, we are all our relations. And then above that is the worker drones. And above that is the managers. And above that is the owners. Now all our relations, those three sects above us, this is like a totem pole. And this is one reason why I ask you to have an animal totem. Because in the totem pole, the most strong, the most responsible, the most authoritative of the totem are, the last man on the totem pole, the bottom. So here we are, all our relations. And we're in our state. We have illuminated ourselves for billions of years. And we are the great link. We are all our relations. And we are at the bottom of the totem pole of the pyramid. And we are stronger, more powerful, wiser than everyone above us. So the worker drones, are just that, but they think they're rich. They're the people, they're the shopkeepers, they're the people of commerce, they're the people of need, they're the people of avarice. Then above them, they're the people of unbridled consumption. They will consume everything without any regard, respect, or love's co-creation. And above them are the managers, the priests, the doctors, the judges, the lawyers, all the people who think they're in control, the generals, the politicians, the kings, the presidents. No, they're not in control. And then there are the owners. Now the manager class, and each of these classes, except for all our relations, but the manager class, the worker drones, those two classes are deluded, right? And think they're in control, in power. They have to have it, right? And so those are the people who, and they are also those, they're not all one. There are stratas in those, right? And and that's what they're trying to climb, that corporate ladder. They're trying to be, step on the next guy's head, because they want to get, those worker drones want to become, the managers, and the managers want to become the owners. But forget that, because Even if you get to the top of the managerial class and you're a Rockefeller and you're a Rothschild and you're a Illuminati and you're a Bilderberg and you're the Club of Rome, no, sorry, you're still an expendable class. You're part of the useless eaters, those two classes. Now, the manager class and the worker drones think that all our relations are the useless eaters, but no, sorry, because that group actually has souls. All our relations have souls. We're not just an avatar. We're not just a mud puppet. We're just not a bag of water. We're not that illusion. We have been incarcerated in it, and we have been hoodwinked into it, and we have been programmed through the matrix in it, but we can step out of it like that by simply saying, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be. Amen. And every day and every way we take the peace of the earth and make it stronger through love's co-creation. And Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and the hour of our death. Amen. These prayers are not religious, they're shamanic. These prayers are alchemical equations. And by living, not just saying, because people in religions just say these prayers like a drone, Now the prayers every religion has, the chanting of the Tibetans, very powerful, just like this is. The prayers of Islam, very powerful, but not when they are robotically repeated. You have to say it within the construct of love's co-creation, within the context of all our relations, which we just have. So we're in the Longhouse, we're in the Sweat Lodge, and we're having visions, and I'm explaining the pyramid. All our relations are the base, and the base of the totem pole is the strongest, is the most powerful, and within the understanding of the indigenous, most respected. Not the top of the totem pole is useless, pretty much. So, who have we left out but the owners? But these guys, right? Just because they came here 1 billion years ago and played with our gene structure and fooled with the esoteric, multidimensional construct of our soul body, not our soul body, and then made this illusion of our avatar of the ugly bag of water, of the mud puppet. See it clearly. And who are those owners? You have the insectoids, right? And then all of their minions, the grays, the reptiles, all of those folks. And all those folks have been basically incarcerated. Their spiritual essence have been incarcerated to the point where they so diluted that they have, beyond slaves, right? Where we're not. Our soul is off in a server being, protected by love's co-creation. And at any time we could step out of this illusion and become our true self. Who are we, right? So that is the one thing that the insectoids don't want us to do, right? Now, there are plenty of other characters in this passion play, like Shakespeare said, there's more in the heavens than in your imagination, buddy, right? most filthy animal. Anyway, oh, buddy, you're such a cheeky monkey. So, the bottom line about all of this is we're here to see past the harmonic deafening, the background noise of the insect. So in the indigenous, the two great masters from back in the day, the first two, ant and turtle. An ant has these little antennas that he's doing this all the time. And if you were to take two sticks and scrape them against each other, that's the sound of ant, right? And that's the background noise. So all you need to do is take two sticks, and this is why music is so powerful. This is why the drum is so powerful. This is why when we get together at the Deep Green or wherever we come together, we're going to have drums, and we're going to have a drum circle and a big bonfire, and we're going to dance around that fire. But for now, we are in the longhouse, and it's facilitating as a sweat lodge. See it clearly. Well, both Rum and Rye have their good points, but that's not the little assignment. The assignment is to be sweating, and as my grandfather David would. So, do you have a vision yet, or do we need a couple more stones? Right? I think we need a few more stones. Stonekeeper, bring in some stones. So here we are, guys. It's hot. You're sweating. You're naked. You're sitting your butt on the cool, muddied earth because of the condensation of the heat. And more stones come in. And ooh, they throw them on the outer circle of the circle. And and steam rises. And now the lodge is full of steam, not just heat. Not just dry heat from the stone, but steam. Ooh, that feels good. I want that cold, muddied ground on your butt and your legs. And you like kind of, Sensei, can I just lie down on this? Sure, go ahead, lie down. Relax. You're not going to escape the steam or the heat. Is just going to lay on top of you now that you're lying down. Now it's covering you in total. Have you had a vision yet? Maybe we need stone keepers. Bring in some more stones. We need some more heat. We need some more steam. Feel the burn. Spirit blanket. That's what a sweat lodge is. When you're lying down on that muddy ground, what you're feeling is the beautiful moisture of the steam laying down on you, and it is hot. If you've ever been in a steam room, this is way hotter than that. But because you got the cold moisture coming up the other way, you're like a heat sink. You're like a transistor. What does a transistor do? It transforms. So you're transforming right now into your vision of who are you? Where did you come from? And what are you doing here? And what are you supposed to be doing here? See it clearly. And if you can't speak up about this, we're going to get another round of stones. But, always remember, I'm not some moron who will kill you in the sweat lodge. No. I will not bring more stones than you can handle. Just like the great maker. Never puts, I've had some pretty, died 6 times. Yeah, Al can handle that. Sure. So this isn't even close to that, gang. This is you lying on a very cool, loving, mossy muddied ground, Mother Earth, grounding you out, and the pillow, the eider down of the heat of the steam laying down on you. And you feel yourself turning into a mushroom, you know? All that fungus is from the earth is coming up through you and you're going down through it and you are mixing and all of those little tendrils of the fungi through all of the earth is connecting you to all of your relations. And you think the lake of the big link is connective tissue. This right here, gang, this is, as my grandfather David would say, this is the bomb, man, the bomb. See it clearly. And you are feeling who you are. You are feeling where you came from. You are feeling what you're doing here and what you should be doing here. Now, you may not be able to speak up at this moment because you got like a 10-ton warm blanket on top of you of moisture. You're like at the bottom of, you are at the bottom of the lake of the Great Link, you know? And you can still breathe, kind of barely, but you can, right? And all that moisture and all that fungus coming the other way, you thought that the healing sense of, your breath was doing it to your mitochondria in your cells. Well, this connective tissue of healing, of steam, of warmth, of heat, of Mother Earth, Father Sky, this connective tissue goes way beyond the cellular, goes way beyond time and space. This is connecting you to your alpha and omega. See it clearly. The alpha and omega of all of you together. See it clearly. That's right, buddy. You're cleaning your house out from your colon out. Good medicine. This is the ultimate in good medicine. This is better than piss, Okay. So, I'm going to stand up and you're down on the ground, you can barely move, you feel unbelievably, it's like someone has taken a pipe cleaner to every nuance of your being, and you're clearing every piece of crud out of you, so you will be able to, wow, that's who I am, 8 trillion lifetimes of birthday cakes are going to like fly by your imaginary mirror, and then bing, your eyes are going to pop over and you're going to see in your imaginary mirror who you are. And in that light of illumination, you're seeing who you are, where you came from, and what you're supposed to be doing. See that clearly. Remember that. Do not leave here tonight without it firmly in your Akashic record, firmly in your mind's eye. Okay? And you will be dreaming about this tonight. You will have all of you are going to have a lucid dream tonight about who you are, who you really are, not the make-believe, oh, I'm that mud puppet, oh, I'm that ugly bag of water. No, who you really are in love's co-creation, where you really came from, which is way past, the insectoids, right? And the hiss of the steam of the rocks, you will remember that sound, And that sound will enable you to cut through the background noise of the insectoids. So you won't be unconscious anymore. See it clearly. Now you're there on the ground, and you're seeing me get up, and you go, "How can he do that?" My sensei Alba smile, and I'm standing up, and I'm pretty much naked except a little apron around my waist, and I throw open one end of the long house of the sweat lodge, and then I walk out and I walk to which is just, I mean, it's miles and miles around, or infinities around, but it comes around to right where the other door is, and I open that flap, and a tremendous breeze blows through. And the heat blows, the oppressive heat, the 10-ton eiderdown of moisture is blown out. And you kind of sit up, you kind of stretch out a little bit and go, wow. I mean, you feel cleaner, healthier, more energized. You don't have a laggard bone in your body. You don't have a feeling of tiredness whatsoever. So we all come out of the longhouse, and where the stone keepers have had their fire pit, there aren't too many stones left, and they're piling wood on top of it. And they're piling more and more wood, and you're going over to the wood pile and bringing the wood to the fire keepers, and they're building a gigantic bonfire to the sky. And at the base of the circle of the bonfire, there are many drums. And all of you who feel the need to drum will sit down at the drums, right? And Grandfather David will come out, and there's a big kettle drum. And Grandfather David of the East, and Grandfather David of the West, and Grandfather David of the North, and Grandfather David of the South all come, and they start beating the big kettle drum. Boom, 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 boom. And then all of you who find the need to sit with a drum, you start drumming along with Grandfather David's, right? And then as the feeling hits you, individually, you will pick up riffs that you will start playing on the drum. And then others who have the need, you will pick up your own drill. And none of this will be dissonant. It will all be in consort. And the sound of these drums will move everyone to start to sway. And you thought the Congo line last night was energetic and moving. You will start a conga line unlike any conga line you've been in, and you will go in a circle around the fire pit and around the drummers. And you will dance, and you will dance, and you will dance. And it will bring forth a sense of pleasure that you haven't felt ever. And all of these experiences you're feeling here in the land of the essence of nature, this is what you're going to feel when we come together in this plane of existence, of illusion, either at the Big Green or wherever else. I mean, I am sure some of you say, wow, I actually have a friend who's got a farm, or wow, I know this. Any place, the little deep green that we can come to, and that I have, is right there on the edge of Tennessee and North Carolina and Virginia, right near Johnson City. It's like between Johnson City, Tennessee, and Boone, North Carolina. And that's kind of pretty centrally located in the US of A as far as being on the East Coast, or I mean, it's kind of far away from the West. Yes, it's probably 900 miles, maybe 1,100 miles to San Francisco, but it's kind of equal distance from Miami to there, Chicago to there, New York to there, Salt Lake City to there, Houston, Texas to there, Atlanta to there. They're all of those places are about between 600 to 300 miles to the deep green. And yet the deep green is a place that, there's only one little county road. There is no industry, there is no light, there is no cell phones, there is no cable TV, no internet, barely electricity, no smart meters. So that's a pretty clean place. Unbelievably clean water. So that's a place I offer you. Now, if you can offer me someplace to go, hey, I'm there, I would even try to drive my vehicle that's like living on a wing and a prayer, What I would love it is if someone said, oh, yeah, there's a farm over here that won't be in the middle of like Eskimo pie winter for the next 3 months. That would be, like on the, Georgia, on the coast of Georgia. The winters aren't that bad there. They're in the 60s most of the time. They really don't get below 40 ever, even at night, cold, cold, cold. Yeah, a couple nights it gets 30, 20, but not like here. If somebody had something like in Texas or near New Orleans or any place like that, or Florida, that is like, yeah, and I think we could all make it to someplace like that, or my deep green. But to make it like there now, where we could come together and not worry about winter, we'd have to have a place a little south, right? And what's that saying? $6 man got nothing on me. I love it. But I knew that I would, yes. Yep. The drum is a instrument of grounding beyond belief. It's a healing instrument that will take, you've just cleaned every orifice you've had out with a pipe cleaner, and the drum will finish up the project. Pueblo, Colorado. Is that a warm place, Fish? I used to live in the West, and the winters got a little cold at night. I do have a lot of friends in Colorado, New Mexico. Dry. Well, I'm not a skier. I'm not a big fan of snow. Gastonia. Isn't that in upstate New York? Is that the Gastonia I'm thinking of? And I lived in the Finger Lakes. I lived in Ithaca, New York. I love it there, but the winters are that lake effect. NC. Gastonia is in NC. Okay, what part of NC? Southern? Near Charlotte. Okay. Is it a rural kind of spot you're thinking about? Because, Roanoke, Virginia, I'm a scant 300 miles or so to Charlotte. Okay, I'm going to have to look on the map. So is this a place we can all go now Fish? Because, man, I would get in my car and go there now. Because it's supposed to go down in the teens for the next week. It's supposed to snow this weekend, you know? And if there's a place I can land and be warm and safe, I would go there, you know? York County, South Carolina. Well, this is something to investigate, Fish. Why don't we talk on the? So you're in the U.S. of A., right? So you could give me your phone number on my the Dude Awake 42, and I could call you up and we could talk about this. Rotate device. Rotate what? Okay. Okay. I mean, I used to live in Charlotte. It's again one of those towns I really loved, and then it got totally blown out. Well, I hope not, because the last time he said that, we had 40 inches of freaking snow. Yeah, being in a super dry place can dry you out, that's for sure. I mean, a little bit of humidity is not bad, but, being like a wet sponge. But like I said, I kind of lived in that neck of the woods of Charlotte and Atlanta and South Carolina-ish. Place I really love is Czech. One of those limited, I don't know anybody anymore that has a nice big space there. So this is a place I'm talking about that we go to and we start to get the band together. Gastonia is 18 miles west of Charlotte. West, okay. Okay. I mean, like I said, that's about 200 or 300 miles from where I am. Lots of rednecks, but I have no problem with rednecks. I have no problem with anybody, you know. All you have to do is listen to people, let them into your heart, and then they love you. Well, I'm going to have to take a look at Oppenheimer Ranch. I mean, Diamond, I do really. So, and anybody there other than you know about Oppenheimer Ranch and Diamond? And what was the thing when he went to the Monument Mountains and all that brouhaha? I don't have, I mean, stuff like that is like, please. I really do love Diamond, though. He's right on. He's a scientist. He's got that scientist brain like mine, and he really knows what he's talking about. And I've watched him long enough to say, okay. But again, he's got this thing that I know, and he does, but you don't always know all the time. So that's the issue. Anyway, if the big snow comes here, I'm going to be stuck here with John for God knows how long. That should be interesting. Lord have mercy. So, and if it gets really cold, this is a 7,000 square foot concrete house with no insulation. And if the electricity goes off, play Naked Twister. Yep. Not with John Birmingham, though. No. With you guys, yes. Yeah, I know him too. But both those guys can get into their little snippiness and go on about blah, 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 blah. You know? I mean, yeah, you're going to do that. Tell me at least a good story, instead of a belief structure. But I respect both of those guys' abilities, both of them, And what they do is if you look at both of them together, they really fit in to the, where Diamond misses this, Mike gets that. Where Mike goes too much on this, Diamond fits in that. Yeah, they can go on. Yes, exactly. I mean, that's the YouTube. That's what I do. I cherry pick from everything that people send me. Some really wacko shit. I still watch it, and I am very good. I use my intention, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about tonight was intention. The main tool we need to use is intention. And, that's the whole story of love's co-creation because we are co-creating with intention. No, send me something about Teal Swan, to just send me a link to, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And your Al Willpower. I had a girl. Fish, you are a girl, right? That's what I'm picking up. I mean, again, I don't have any idea what gender or species you guys are. You're a guy. See, please, just. There's something about this little digital device doesn't translate the best of my spidey sense, but I'm getting the best of you guys. I may not get your gender, but I'm getting the best of you. See, I knew it. I got a strong feminine side too. Come on, we're all girls. We all start out as women. When that little egg drops and we latch onto our mother's uterus, we're a female. And then we go merrily along for a few weeks as a female, and then we get a blast of hormones. And if it's the Y, or the X, that's what makes us. But see, the real interesting thing is that it's neither one or the other. There is this tremendous thing. And that's why people are transsexual and gay and LGBT, QRST, WXYZ, is because it's a big little, that needle can hit any place, right? So you're not either a guy or a girl or gay, and that's why we have, we're all, the one thing we all are human beings. The one thing we all are all our relations. And you go into I've lived with so many indigenous folk and a number of tribes, at least 6, that were 3 that I was the first white guy they ever saw. The other 3, they were like in their thing, but they still had I Love New York t-shirts on, Day after Thanksgiving, I had an ego dissolution moment, and I saw myself as a white girl from the South who just wanted her desire. Kind of freaked me out. Well, everything's a metaphor, Fish. So, let's see. Thanksgiving, that's part of the metaphor, So you should be giving thanks for this little vision because it's going to give you a wider perspective on the bigger picture of who, and I had an ego dissolution. So, so you are, no longer that ego freak that you are. You are having a egoless ego, meaning we all have egos, but you don't have to wear it on your sleeve. And I saw myself as a white girl from the South. So are you a black man from the North, or? I want her desire kind of freak me out. Yeah, you know, guys don't kind of realize this, but gay guys do. Women have way better sex drives than guys. So, you know, if that's understandable, fish. You know, if you are on the edge of feeling empathetic with women's desire more than the average moron male, then I can understand this little vision that you just had. Exactly, buddy. So that little ego resolution is makes a lot of sense in a shamanic way. You're having this gestalt of who you are. But do you identify with black men more than white men? So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, a vision. Now there's another great little insight, just what you said. And we all, because we are stuck in this illusion frigging world, I just expect certain things, I guess, meaning you're putting out an expectation. And you want to be happy. You really want to be able to open yourself up to who you really are and what you're really here for. Get rid of expectations, right? Yes. Our egos is like a tool. It's like a freaking jackhammer, you know? You can't get rid of it. But you can with breath, 20% in, 30% out, at 30% out, man, you want to get rid of your ego, breathe 40% out. Then you'll breathe 30% of that prana in. And that is the mud puppet. We are not even a human, a mud puppet. At least the avatar, the ugly bag of water, we're an avatar of our consciousness. Mud puppet. We are we are a tool. Exactly. Because you've got a big heart, fish. That's the divine part of you, is your heart. Me too. I haven't met a single person. I mean, yes, certain people can annoy me, but I say, fuck this shit. I'm not going to get annoyed by this person. Who am I to get annoyed with this person? I'm going to look for their deeper love. I'm going to see who they are, right? The hardest person to empathize and love is our parents, because we're stuck in this little mold as an infant, and they scrape and cut away all of the truth and beauty that we were when we were born and stick us with this stupid crap of materialism and religion and beliefs that, no wonder we're all nuts, Ugh. 2 hours and 19 minutes. That's good. So, anybody else have visualizations as much as our brother Fish here? And this is the kind of stuff I'm trying to get at within the cadre. Everyone kind of strip away the edifice of the illusion of the material world and cut down to the bone of the artifice of who you are,
where you came from. And that's why the Akashic Record is a great vehicle, because you can go look at all of your past lives. You can see why you are the way you are right now, where you came from, and what you're supposed to be doing. Now, I've been doing this forever, and I've had these teachers who have tattooed this on my everything. And that's why I have this instantaneous karmic wheel that if I just want to bliss out for not even, just be do, like in the TV show, the 70s show, where they show the kids, getting totally whack on weed in the basement, and you don't see them smoke, but the camera goes in the circle, and every time it goes around, people get stupider and stupider. It's not so bad if you're in a protected environment like your parents' basement to get a little bit stupid now and then. Well, I'm going to come visit you, Fish. We're in Colorado. And are you covered in snow? How has your winter been? Are you near Boulder? Pueblo. Oh, Pueblo, Colorado. Okay. Is that south or north? I love you too, buddy. I love you all. You're all so special. None of you are cut from the same moron cloth. Oh, yeah. Denver is like the satanic center of the United States. So I go on 40 all the way across and then down. What kind of road do I? Is it 25 that I shoot down on? What road do I go down south on? So if you're 3 hours south of Denver, then you're kind of in almost the warm zone. Yeah, 25. Yep. See, I haven't been there in almost 40 years, and I still remember. I can still get around. I'm really bad on the names of things, but I have a photographic memory of how to get from here to there. And men have a good sense of direction because we got putty noses and we got all this blood in our nose, and it's so iron rich. If we are just somewhat sensitive, we will know which way north is. Well, things get really weird, and my car can still handle it. It might be on your front door. So, Fish, do you have a cadre in your neighborhood? Do you have a group of folks that you have salons and talk about things and think about having a better life with a group of people? You know, I have a good friend who calls that the eco village, you know, and his vision is like a deeper, larger. The eco isn't just like Mother Earth or what Al Gore thinks it is. It's everything. It's all, it's his version of all our relations. But in construct of your little neighborhood, and that's why it's a village. So me, it's like all our relations. His thing is the eco village, and it is, we've known each other enough where we have bled all our little theological and intellectual ideas of social structures. Kind of my husband. That's a good start. Is also named Divine. We have one couple who are our closest friends, and my two in-laws. Okay. So are they? Is there anyone in your town who is thinking outside the box of, past Democrat, Republican, Bernie or Donnie or Me Too or Black Like or those are all boxes. Those are all put there by the ownership class. Anything to separate us. So is there a group of folk? That's why I love gay folk, because they're out. They're so out. I worked in the theater in New York City and lived in the West Village. and built the discotheques for gay guys and gay girls. It's like, so I loved that community. And, it's just like when, I would, I have to fill out all these forms because I have nothing and I have to beg for crumbs from the non-existent safety net. And so I had to fill out all these forms because the more forms you fill out, the more these crooked organizations like Goodwill and Habitat and all of those, and I worked for all these guys, writing them grants, and that's all they care about: grant money, grant money, grant money. But the tax laws have changed, so those guys are going to go away. So the traveling video art circus going to colleges, ooh, that's a good revenue stream. The concept of going into towns and helping them build, eco villages where they're growing their own food and fuel and healing each other. I'll trade you a chicken if you do, give me fill that cavity. I was in Ithaca, New York, when Ithaca, which is the home of Cornell and Ithaca College, it's this beautiful place, rolling hills, cows, Finger Lakes, and the saving and loan collapse of '86 basically bankrupted all of those farms. And because that one of the two counties of that valley had this perfect clay base, the federal government wanted to take all of the low-grade nuclear radioactive and bury it there, and then just kind of stick a canvas top on top of it, right? And they were, the feds went in to take those farms away from the farmers who had had them for like generations. And the farmers went after the feds with their combines. The feds showed up, and they were in their little Ford LTDs, and these guys just ran them over with their big, gigantic combines. And the feds brought in the state troopers to be their protection, and the state troopers said, "No, we can't shoot. That's my uncle. That's my uncle's farm. No, feds, go bye-bye." So that's what happened. And so the feds said, "Okay, you guys want to be that way? Well, everyone in these three counties, no more cable TV, no more access to the internet, except for Cornell because they design our nuclear weapons. No more credit cards, no more gasoline, no more money, no more." They just said, "Okay, see how you want to secede? No problem." Well, these people were smart. And so they started a timeshare thing, and debit cards were invented out of this because these guys were really smart. So they made little card readers, and that you could, drop off your kids at Larry's here, and he takes care of them. It's $15 a week, and you slide your card, and it goes on his debit, and then Steve over there. He's got a chicken farm, so Larry can buy $15 worth of chicken eggs off of, and it worked. It was amazing. And so we had no cable TV, we had no movies, we had only the stuff that they left there, right? And everyone fixed everything, and we danced, instead of going to Disneyland, all the churches danced and had dinners, and we all grew food in everyone's basement and grew everything else because we succeeded. There were no friggin' laws. We don't need no friggin' badges. And there were no cops. There was no crime. It was unbelievable. And you know what broke the back of it? After 3 years, everyone got bored. They had sex with each other. They had danced all they could dance. They had eaten all the best mince pie they could. They wanted to go to McDonald's. They wanted to go to Disney World. They wanted to have a credit card. They wanted to get on an airplane. They wanted to watch porn on internet. And that was the end of this amazing experiment. And if you go look it up, there's little remnants of it, but they really erased it because they didn't want anyone else to do that. It was so unbelievably successful. And it really, I said, "Okay, guys, we're going to do this thing called the Longhouse, and this is going to be our political structure." And what I explained to you is how it was run. And the Iroquois, one of my grandfather Davids was there, and he was our spiritual, the Iroquois nation, because they were right in the middle of this, said, okay. And, you go up there, and the Iroquois nation, they had so married into the Dutch that, you look at all the Iroquois nation today, they all got blonde hair and blue eyes and very attractive Dutch noses and chins. Anyway, that's why and so there I was with my little pen and pen, yes, and I kept nudging it a little this way and a little that way, and all the shakers and movers, I gave them the ideas to do this. I didn't want to do it. They did. I didn't live there. I was just there on a project, and this was like, ooh, this is even a more interesting project. And so they were my lab rats. I was just looking at it as an experiment, and I was taking notes on what worked and what didn't. So the next time, and the thing that was missing, and I kept talking about this, and people were going, "But hey, what? We're dancing, we're doing this, and I said, we need an alternative aesthetic. And all they did was substitute the corporate material world for, their little insulated material world. And so they didn't change anything. And the power, the owners, the insectoids, hey, that's why they didn't come in with the tanks, because they looked at it as an experiment too. Okay, if anyone does this when we really put down the hammer, what are we going to do? Want to observe. And of course, I didn't publish my stuff on what I was watching and doing there. I didn't put that out. But the project that I was there at Cornell, I mean, it's not like they locked us in. So I kind of had to do what I was sent there to do, or, I would have gotten fired and sent someplace else, So anyway, so that's why we need to build this alternative aesthetic. That's why we have to have the foundation tool, not materialism, but culture, art, theater, music, visual arts, literature, poetry. And there's a big difference between literature and poetry. Logos. And that's why I want you guys, your homework is to go into state 5-6 times a day, go to your Akashic record, learn, really learn, like Fish has opened his heart and shared with us who he is, where he came from, and what he's here to do. He gave it to us, right? He said all three. And and it kind of blew his mind. He told us about that dream he had. Did you have a vision? He did, right? And he gave it to us. And when I just kind of gave a little thumbnail, looking at it, shamanically, that's when he kind of opened up even more. So we all need to do that, right? And I try to lead by example. I mean, every day in every way, both these 2 chats a day, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying, this is me, guys. This is where I came from, guys. This is what I'm here to do, guys. So I lead by example. I'm your Sensei Al Bob. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm no magician. I'm no, ascended master. Whatever little gratuity you can send me is totally appreciated, but I'm not charging you $19.95. If you send it now, you'll get 2 enlightenments. No. Whatever you want to send me. Ike sent the most sweetest, really the most amazing Christmas box, wine and food and tasty things and all kinds of teas and healing stuff and just, not just one thing or one kind of thing, but a whole myriad. He went into his intuition and said, what does Sensei Al Bob really need? And he sent me this bottle of wine that was, It was not. It was sweet, but not too sweet. It was dry, but not too dry. It was like all the perfect wines, except it wasn't champagne put together. It was almost champagne, but quite wasn't. But it was everything else that you would want wine to be, and it gave me a nice glow and didn't jag my blood sugar, which was quite amazing because I pretty much drank the whole bottle. Normally, I would like do a little sip here and a little sip here, but it was so tasty and it was Christmas, and I said, "Frig it." And it didn't even, like I said, didn't even jag my sugar. So, 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 46 seconds. So maybe 2 hours, 40. So tonight, why don't you all go, when you go to Dreamy Dream Time, why don't you go to the shamanic plains of the essence of nature, where the longhouse hedgerow is. And that's our sacred place to meet. That, where are we going to meet? That's the place. And wherever we go, whether it's the deep green or Colorado or North Carolina or wherever we go, we are going to build our own little hedgerow longhouse, which we will leave there for the folk, our relations, that we will, endure into this space. We will go into the coffee houses. We will go into the colleges. We will, really kind of shake people. When I was telling you that story of, Port St. Lucie and living in a Rasta commune in the middle of the hood in Port St. Lucie in Alphabet City. Well, there was two really good, big, really great community college and another littler college. And we would just, ID and I would just walk in without permission. He'd bring his guitar and I'd tell stories and we'd have people. And first, the kids loved it. And then teachers, who are these guys? And then, we would disappear. And the next day we would come, day number 2, we would come and I would go straight to the president of the university. And we would walk slow. And I'd say, so where's the president hang out? Over in this building. And we'd walk over to that building and we'd walk slow. And then when I sensed that president was in their office, pretty much, their secretary went to get a cup of coffee or do something. And the guard was, went to have a smoke. And the guy or gal was there by themselves and they were just picking out their navel lint. I said, come on, ID. We walk in. I close the door. I'd sit down. I'd say, hi, I'm Al, and this is ID. And let me look at your palm. And they'd go, huh? And put their palm up, and I'd read it and go, wow. And then I said, we are two shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemists, and we want to turn your university into Harvard. We want to make you the most famous college president in the United States. And they would go, really? I said, yeah. And so they let us. We did all kinds of fun things there. Then we tried to expand ourselves out. And those two schools kind of let us do what we wanted because they kind of heard of, we had played at restaurants and clubs and colleges. We played, both those colleges, our band had played there. So they kind of knew what we were doing. And the story about how we were doing a drum circle right in the middle of the gunfight, with the Gang Central, where every Thursday somebody died. And the police, meaning if people start shooting shit up and you'd call 911, they wouldn't come. They'd say, call back when the shooting stopped. And what we did was we went in there and did that drum circle that you experienced around, the hedgerow longhouse. That's what we brought to that really, really hurting sore of social destruction. And this is what we can bring throughout our country, And like I said, we can get the powers that shouldn't be to back us. And then we can pull the rug out and switch things around in a way that they can still be in charge, but instead of everyone hating each other, they'll get along, they'll love, they'll care, they'll appreciate. They'll have grace rather than anger. So that's what the cadre is about. Okay, so we're getting there. 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 33 seconds. Oh, let's see. Ooh, you guys said a lot of stuff. Yep. Yep. One little eco village at a time. Yeah, Fish. To test, because see, the state is an illusion. It says it represents we the people. No, it's a corporate state. It would be pretty okay. Oh, we're a capitalist society. No, we're not. 2008 showed it. They bailed out the car companies and the banks to the tune of hundreds of trillions of dollars. And then they gave them free money for 10 years to just dump in the stock market. That's why it went from, 11,000 to 27,000, because it was bought with free money. And all those guys who should have been thrown in jail got bonuses for 10 years. So yes, I'm with you. I have an extreme distaste for the state, because it doesn't even exist. We live in a fascist state. What is fascism but the corporate oligarchy? That's what it is. You look it up. It's not guys in uniforms. I mean, they always end up in uniforms, goose-stepping, but they basically are run by the it's a corporate state, not capitalism, because capitalism means you're competing. Again, we got to work on our aesthetics, our alternative aesthetics. Sophia Ken Pigeon. Okay. I'm getting tired. 2 hours, 43 minutes, okay? 2 hours, 43 minutes, and 43 seconds. I'm going to say goodnight. And I'll see you in the morning, guys. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow night. And do your homework. Dreamy dream time. Go into that place where you will see who you are. Happy sleeping. Yep. 43:26. The essence of nature. That was the world that we went into. And you are, I didn't count you back, because you are now consciously awake. You are in state and awake at the same time. And Fish, the state I'm talking about is not the fascist one, It's the Akashic mind. Nice. Yep. Hey, Vlad. Good to see you, buddy. I'm glad you chimed in. We got another 44 seconds. And again, tomorrow morning, sometime 9, 10 o'clock. On the flip side. Yep. And it was a good chat tonight. They're getting better and better. That's a good sign, right? And you're all doing your homework? Yes, I know you are. Okay, 34, 35. I'm going to sleep well tonight. You stay well, be good. 42, 43, 44.